The City of Nanaimo has been working with a group of volunteers, staff, and council as a community engagement task force. Together we've been developing a pilot program dedicated to public engagement. Public engagement is the cornerstone of a democratic society. Tonight is our final session of the 4 that we had planned. And the session tonight is entitled Empowering Neighborhoods. During the course of the pilot program, we heard from a resident that the city needs to work and strengthen neighborhood associations to encourage the participation of the residents living in them. Joining us tonight is our Mayor Leonard Krogh and Councillors Don Bonner, Tyler Brown, Ben Gesselbach, Aaron Hemmons, Zenny Martman, Jim Turlick. Regrets were sent from Councillors Cheryl Armstrong and Ian Thorpe. We also have with us tonight members of the Community Engagement Task Force, which include Norm Smith, Nancy Mitchell, Les Barkley, Robert Fuller, Ian Gartshore, Peter Urquhart, Aaron Hemmons, and myself, Bill Manners. We wish to give special recognition to the staff that have been helping us. They've been a great asset. They include Kendall Doher and Derek Johnston, with special appreciation for the communications and marketing specialist, Tracy Lowen. You've been a real great help the whole journey, Tracy. Starting our session, I'd like to introduce to you a gentleman who has been with the city for quite a number of years. I remember meeting Chris years back when he was a community planner with the city. Since then, he's also been involved with land use and zoning, and today he is currently the Culture and Heritage Planner. Please welcome Chris Schulberg.
Thank you, Bill, very much. Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm going to only take a few minutes of your time, talk a little bit about the Neighborhood Network and the history of the network and how it came to be. But I did want to thank you, first of all, for participating in this process. I have deja vu on this. Basically, I remember back, I've been with the city since 1992, but I took on community planning role more in the early 2000s. And I remember in 2003, we actually had a similar neighborhood forum that was created. And it was really to re-kick off the idea of a neighborhood network, because there was an organization called the Neighborhood Network that existed back into the 90s, and it may have existed back into the 80s for all I know, but they kind of burnt out towards the end of the 1990s, basically disbanded. And then I think Council of the Day in 2003 realized that there actually was a very great advantage to having a coordinated group of neighborhoods working in the city boundaries and actually providing input towards different issues. What you can see behind me, and I call this the big board, and this is what happened when you give a planner a plotter and some scissors and some tape. I'm not a great taper, as you can tell. It's going to be functionally holding up, I think. All right. Anyways, these are the groups that are self-identified and have been for, in some cases, for decades for some of them. They exist. Most are active. Some are semi-active, but most of these are active. These are the component parts of the Neighborhood Network that exists today. They were also around, most of them, in 2003 when we formed the second sort of Neighborhood Network 2.0. So all I can say for myself, it's been a pleasure working with these groups over the years. I've been a community liaison for them in the planning section, basically dealing with neighborhood planning, in some cases Harewood Neighborhood Plan, Brecon Newcastle Plan, or what other ones? A South End Neighborhood Plan, a few other ones. And basically it's been a very pleasurable experience. Very important, these are the component parts of our official community plan, very important work that's done there. It allows us to drill down into local areas, get into detailed issues with the residents and businesses of those areas, and really try to get at the issues that matter to people in these areas. What else do I want to say about the Neighborhood Network? It's I think that's basically it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but just to say that this is it's just heartening to see this kind of turnout at this kind of event, and that there's an interest of this sort in this sort of subject matter. Maybe on that note, what I will do is, I promised I'd mention, people have been asking what the white areas are on the big board here. I call it the Wild West. Those are the areas that have not been organized yet. Interestingly, most of them tend to be newer areas. Maybe their development levels haven't reached a certain age. They're not a vintage, they haven't been around for 10 or 20 or 40 years. I tend to see, you can see where neighborhood groups tend to have historically formed is in the core areas of the city, areas where people have been 50, 100 years. So it's interesting how that works. People, I think, are naturally oriented to associate with each other and to represent their interests to city council from those areas. So it's a good thing to see. And we'll continue to work at our level with the community and cultural planning section, with the neighborhood network, and to be a liaison body for that organization. So I think on that note, I'd like to pass the podium on to Larissa Koser.
Hi, I see there's some people at the door. Do you want to come in and take a seat? So we're sitting down by neighborhoods, so you'll find the names of the neighborhoods on the table. Can you go ahead and do that? Great. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Larissa Koser, and I've been invited to facilitate the meeting today. I volunteered with the task force before, and it was a really great experience, and I'm really glad that they invited me once again, especially for this session, because I really do believe that neighborhoods play a critical part in fueling and creating social change for our city. So thank you very much for each one of you for coming and contributing to the start of that change. So thank you very much for being here. The goal of this session is to start to build relationships between, once again, with the neighborhoods, the city, and with the new council and mayor. It is an opportunity for us to build relationships, share information, brainstorm ideas, and support, and mainly to support the new council in sort of understanding what are the issues that you are facing in your neighborhood. So this is a really good opportunity for that. So thank you to the councillors and mayor for coming here today. I would like to say, please be respectful of the fact that they have just been in office for a few weeks, so they may not have the answers to the questions that you're looking for. And also, they're really here to learn from you. And also, I will request too that please refrain from making demands or requests from them at this stage. They have just started, but you will get a chance to make those requests in the future. So this is really an opportunity for you to connect and build relationships with them. Okay, so I'm really here just to kind of explain the process and for you guys all to start working. As you can see, there's this wonderful map that Chris put together. I'd like to give him a round of applause because this is an amazing map. Each of you should be at your designated sort of neighborhood. If you're having a problem finding your neighborhood, please raise your hand, and I think Chris can go help you find your neighborhood. Is everyone in the right place? Okay. Okay, good. Each table has a moderator. Can you please, moderators, put your hands up? These are wonderful volunteers from the young professionals, so thank you so much to them for coming today and volunteering. I am going to ask a favor of the participants today. I would like to ask if one person at each table would be able to take notes. So if somebody could step up and take that role, please talk among yourselves. And who can do that? You don't need to do it now. You can decide in a few minutes. Okay, good. I see some movement on that. Okay, great. So I'll explain the process, and this is the first part is we're going to talk about the strengths of our neighborhoods, what it is that we love and care about our neighborhoods. So you can have that discussion. Please remember to introduce yourself and tell the group where you live. And then you can start your discussion. There are stickies on your table. So, so once you've talked about what it is you love, what it is you care about, decide on one thing that you really love and care about your neighborhood and write it on a sticky. It can be the heart-shaped one or the flower-shaped one, because we're going to be putting all of this on this wonderful map in the back here, okay? Okay, so that's the first part. We're going to talk about the things we care about. I will ring the bell. You're going to have about 10 to 15 minutes. I will ring the bell like this, and you will get a chance, write that one thing that you love on the sticky and keep that sticky with you. Okay, great. So that's the first part. Second part, we're going to talk about the issues and the concerns that we are facing in our neighborhoods. So let's discuss all the issues. I know some neighborhoods are facing what they may call like their main issue, their main concern. Please try not to keep to just one issue. Please try to think broadly of your neighborhood and try to bring up all the issues that you're currently facing, or even issues that you are worried about in the future. So please bring those up. And then I want, as a group, for you to decide what are the 3 top main concerns in your neighborhood. It might be hard for some, might be easier for others. And then I want you to write those 3 main concerns on the little orange house that you see in front on your tables. Okay? Great. So that's the first part. I will ask you that you can either have one little orange house for a table or per neighborhoods, because I know there's a couple of neighborhoods per table, but the group can decide if they just want one or one house per neighborhood. Please remember to put the neighborhood name on the back of the little house, okay? We're going to use this information later. Great. Any questions about that? Okay. Oh, you don't have a house. That's a really good thing. We have more houses here. Does everybody else have a house? Okay, next, I'm just going to finish here. Just one more thing. After this, we're going to take a break. And then we're going to go into the next phase where we're going to talk about the next steps for our neighborhoods, okay? And that will be the greenhouse. Here is going to call out which tables are going to go first. It's totally aleatory here, so.
Yes. Dover Parkwood, could you please come forward?
There you go.
And provide your
May the force be with you.
All right, come on over. Speak to the big board.
Here, is it okay if you take the mic? And I'll hold for you your notes if you'd like.
Can I keep my notes?
Yeah, totally. Do that. Go ahead.
I'm Carrie Armstrong, and I'm in the Parkwood, Dover area. And I was at the table with a group of people, largely from Winnipeg. So we had lots of really fantastic things to say about Nanaimo.
Where's that on the map?
Yeah. And we just had so many really wonderful things to say. So we couldn't come up with just 3. So we said there were parks, great water drinking, water for parks, ocean, great community, walkable, and diversity. A diverse age group in our area and diversity in terms of race as well. The 3 issues that we thought we wanted to communicate to the group were there's transportation and traffic. There are only a couple of roads that kind of lead in and out, and we're a little bit concerned with the increased population about people being able to get in and out. We also find that the traffic is faster, there's more population, people are trying to get from place to place, but we've increased the bike routes and the pedestrian routes, but I think we have a lot more work to do with that as well, just to keep people safe. We thought that there's, because of that, there is an issue around crime and safety, and then just the density. I guess they all kind of fall in a little bit together as I say this. It kind of falls together. Our action items were communication plan, really trying to get people to communicate, trying to use digital ways to increase that communication, trying to get people to meetings. and just having more people involved. I guess Parkwood especially has no one actually, I think, maybe involved. I mean, people are involved in their own community, but they're not involved in this process. So trying to re-engage people in that. And then another action item was because we have some empty storefronts, so an action item was to try to make those empty storefronts maybe used for community events, just to try to increase traffic to those areas and maybe increase businesses to fill those empty storefronts. And then we thought it would be great if we could come up with a safety plan, emergency evacuation, and also just safety plans for pedestrians, bikers, and for cars, so that we're all feeling a lot more safe. Did I cover it, my friends?
We have Stevenson Point, Hammond Bay, Rocky Point, Lost Lake. Come on down. Speak to the big boy.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Hello. Introduce yourself and then give us your...
Hi, I'm Dinuk Singh, and we're actually mostly all from Stevenson Point. So we're all going to speak for Stevenson Point. So we're going to go over strengths, concerns, and then action. Strengths, concerns, and an action plan. So strengths, we have a great neighborhood. We have lots of really nice parks, lots of green spaces. We have access to Lindley Valley. We love that we have the biological station, which is one of the largest employers in the city. Our neighborhood, there's lots of good walking and wildlife. Concerns, our focus immediately, I mean, I was the one that brought it up, is Hammond Bay. How many people drive along Hammond Bay? Or don't? But our biggest concern is Hammond Bay is just a real piecemeal. There's little bits and pieces of sidewalks along the way. As a neighborhood, you can't really walk safely on Hammond Bay. It's dark. There's kind of like a painted lane along there. I cycle from the biological station to Departure Bay, and it's tricky and it's dangerous. So making it more walkable, bikeable, and safer for neighbors to go along Hammond Bay, and overall safety. And we realize that it's our evacuation route in case of emergency. What if? And it's really tight. If Hammond Bay is 2 lanes, it's going to get blocked pretty quick. Our action plan is we were going to put together a petition to have the city really look at Hammond Bay, because we feel it's a real concern for us, that we need to look at maybe putting together a social media campaign, as well as just knocking on doors and having an issue that galvanizes people. And I think Hammond Bay would be one of them, not just people who live in the neighborhood, but people who use that roadway. And basically working on collecting data, because I come up from Stevenson Point onto Hammond Bay, and just collecting data. How many cars are going on there? There's a heck of a lot more in the last 6 years that I've been using Hammond Bay. So collecting data in terms of where are the sidewalks, where are there lanes for people to walk or painted lanes, and counting cars and just collecting data on what's happening on Hammond Bay and getting a real clear picture for that. So that's it. Thank you.
The next one will be Departure Bay. Come on down. All right.
I don't need that.
Okay. You don't
Never had to use a mic. My name's Norm Smith. I'm not a resident of Departure Bay, but I'm the spokesman for them. What do we love about our neighborhood? It's Departure Bay Beach. Come on. It's the best place. You can't hear me? Holy cow. Departure Bay Beach. The only thing the city has that we love. It's got nature and scenery throughout the entire area. It's a quiet, single-family residential area for the most part. It's close to some of the major facilities, Bevan Park, the hospital, downtown. And it's got a good balance of schools and the residentials with some business. But it's funny because the stuff that we love will become our issues also. Where we are is in a little bit of a valley. We got hills everywhere around the Departure Bay area. So it's not very walkable, and we don't have a very good transit system for that area. They'll go through, but they don't go into the other part of the higher up on the hill area. So if you get off the bus, you're still looking at a hill to walk up. Need more services, commercial and community, to entice more density to come into the area. Nobody's coming down, it's single families. We don't have a lot of area to become more dense. And I think nobody else has this problem in any of the areas, but we have a problem with parking. Anybody go down to try to see the bathtub race finish, you'll understand why. For the action items, we want to create a plan or a vision to create a community village right down at Departure Bay Beach. We're moving away to go to all our services. We want to stay down in that area and have a little type of a village with stores, services right in our area. We would like the city to purchase some of the residential properties in the area, rezone them to increase the density in the area. The only way that we're going to get tax money to help down there is to get more people in. And right now, we're only single family. And parking. We have to create a plan that's both going to be good for the residential down there and more commercialized to coexist down in there. Thank you.
All right, next one is the Westwood Lake Jingle Pot College Park. Come on down. Oh, there you go. You like this.
That's me. I should be like Norm. I don't know if I need this, but I'll use this. So there's a number of things that we love up in the College Heights and Westwood Lake area. We didn't have anyone from the Jingle Pot, but I guess it's part of Jingle Pot. Of course, the views of the mountains, views of the oceans, sunrise, sunset, it's gorgeous up there. Proximity to Westwood Lake and the fishing and the recreation, that's a wonderful part of living up there. We're close to transportation, the Parkway and Jingle Pot Road, close to downtown, so access is great up there. It was mentioned that when the big one hits, we're fairly safe because we have, Nelson said that...
Metamorphic rock.
Metamorphic rock, yes. We're not going to slide anywhere. Other items that we loved up there, close to VIU, we've got a pub. It's closed at the moment, Jingle Pot Pub, but it will reopen again. There's bowling, so recreation. It's a nice central area. Issues, 3 big issues that we identify, which I hear from other neighborhoods also. Traffic is a problem, particularly Harwell and Jingle Pot cars going too quickly. And matched with the safety issue, there's a lack of sidewalks in parts of the neighborhood, particularly if you're coming up off of the Parkway, just past the water tanks. I walk this quite often when I go from VIU to home, and on rainy, dark evenings, it's treacherous. The third issue, and it's related to the traffic more than the sidewalks, is the large number of income suites and the tenants parking out on the street. And there's one spot on Harwell where there's a mailbox, so you've got people coming to get the mail, and the cars parked on both sides, and cars coming up and cars coming down, and it's an unpleasant area to be moving in. Our 3 proposed action plans are: one, to ask the city to enforce the parking bylaw for on-street parking. Apparently, landlords are supposed to provide off-street parking, and I don't know how much of that is actually happening. Streets, 2 cars should be able to pass on these streets, and they can't in many cases. The second action plan would be to meet with the traffic safety department, whichever department that is with the city, and do some lobbying with them, with neighborhood groups. And the third would be to talk to whichever authority is responsible for that mailbox on Harwell in the corner, and maybe have them move that. All right, thank you.
Wellington. All right, here we go.
Hello, I'm Dirk Heidemann. We're all part of the Wellington group. We had in our group Peter, Astrid, Nate, Larry, and Michelle. The things that we love about our neighborhood is that we're so centrally located to just about everything in Nanaimo, particularly by car. I can drive 10 minutes and I'm downtown, 6 minutes to my daughter's high school. We love that about it. We also love that we're really close to recreational amenities. We've got, Peter was close to Bevan Park, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, and we're close to all sorts of natural trails, and so we love that that component. Most of us felt generally safe in our neighborhood, although there was one who was not feeling quite as safe as they would like. We also liked all the mixed housing that we had in our neighborhood, so we were all pleased with that. 3 issues that we felt were of concern was insufficient public transportation. It takes my daughter 40 to 50 minutes to take the bus from our house to her high school, and Astrid's daughter was the same sort of thing. So we feel that public transportation could be more efficient. Lack of walkable communities. If I need to get some milk to make some pancakes in the morning and I don't have any, and my neighbors don't have any, I have to drive about 10 minutes to the closest grocery store. There's nothing walkable close by for me to go and get groceries, and we felt like that was a common problem with everyone else. Michelle commented that there's dangerous activities on Long Lake, so there's motorboats, there's seaplanes taking off there, and felt that was a safety concern for her. Some steps that we see in moving forward, promotion of the associations to community. So most of us at our table weren't even aware that there was an association for our neighborhood. So maybe that could be better promoted, because we recognize that community associations are a great vehicle to get messages to the city. And we also like this event. We like the idea that the city's communicating with the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods have an opportunity to communicate with the associations. So we would love to see more events of this sort of nature. And thirdly, to develop zoning plans for more walkable communities, so that one day we can just take a short 5-10 minute walk to get that milk, or maybe that sack of beer. So I think that covers it. Anything else? Is that got it? We're good. Thanks.
Hospital area town site, come on down.
Good evening, Jim Goldsack with the hospital area, and we had a small group. But anyways, gotta get my glasses on. So what we talked about was transit. We need increased transit accessibility, the frequency, and connections that support a commuter schedule. For example, a hospital. A lot of people that live in the hospital or work at the hospital, the schedules just aren't conducive to them. And we have a lot of people working in the hospital area now with the new doctors and the dentists and other support staff. It's very, very difficult for them to get to work in the morning or to leave later on in the evening. So we need better service for rush hours and so on. The next one that we had was parking. There's a lack of parking around the hospital. It gets worse as the hospital expands. And of course, all the support staff, as I said before, the doctor's office and so on. So there's a real lack of parking, and it's getting worse. And there's an increase of traffic due to the high volume of employment in our area, increased residential development, and the development doesn't provide enough parking for their residents. So, and it's generally the rentals. If you buy a condo, they're going to provide two parking stalls. If it's a rental, half a parking stall per person. Safety, lighting, need more lighting. With the increased traffic and increased crime in the area, we need the lighting. The increased impacts associated with visible homelessness, lack of access to housing services and support. One of the things, I think I mixed it up because I was supposed to do the positives first. I'm different than everybody else. One of the things we did like, we like the green spaces in the hospital area. lots of green spaces for families, seniors even, to get out and get some exercise and walk around and enjoy the sunshine and the green areas. Affordable housing. We do have some affordable housing in our area because we're a diversified neighborhood. There's some high-end housing that is just being built. We also have older houses which provide some of that affordable housing. We need more. I guess the last thing I'm going to say is I'm kind of poorly prepared because I didn't make any of these notes. And I'm hard of hearing, so. But one of the things that we would like to see is more community engagement. That's a tough question because we rolled around our table. How do you get our community to engage? People don't like to come to meetings. As we can see here in this building here, we should have a whole lot more people, but we don't. So how do we get them? Through an email? How do we do that? So we talked about that issue. We really never came up with a good suggestion other than perhaps maybe going and having little get-togethers at our green spaces and parks. I'm not sure that'll work. Anyway, that's what we're doing.
The next one would be Breckenhill, Newcastle. Come on down.
Don't know the name of my neighborhood, apparently. Hi, I'm Mike, and we are the Newcastle neighborhood, which is approximately there. We are... And Brecken Hill, sorry. Newcastle and Brecken Hill. That's the area of the waterfront and the slope up above the waterfront. And one of the things that we all agreed on is that we love the location because it's central, it's active, and we're bounded by some fabulous parks, including Newcastle, Swineland Lagoon, and of course the seawall runs between our residences and the ocean. And we also have some concerns because it's a downtown neighborhood. So we have a lot of the city's activity either coming through our neighborhood or nearby. So that relates to some of the concerns I'll mention. And the three main issues and action items that we have here are, first of all, speeding and traffic safety. I recognize that's a common theme in many areas, but I feel it's far worse in my area. But we have both Stewart Avenue and Terminal Avenue and some other high traffic roads, including Townsite, running through our neighborhood. And we have a strong mix of cars and bicycles and pedestrians. So that's led to some traffic fatalities in the past and some strong concerns about interacting with the traffic. So what we'd like to see is, firstly, better crosswalk services in the neighborhood. A new crosswalk on Terminal Road where it intersects with Rose Hill. There's a pedestrian controlled crosswalk. And better lighting and better visibility at existing crosswalks so that the pedestrians and the cars can see each other. The second item is Newcastle Place, which is the name of a new emergency housing development. As you might know, BC Housing has bought a piece of property and has determined that this will be part of their plan to deal with the homeless crisis. And there was some reaction in the neighborhood, I think partially because the usual process of consultation did not occur, but a different process is going on. And the actions that we've identified that we'd like to move forward with are to have a community committee so that we can communicate with the responsible authorities what our concerns are and how to deal with issues as they arrive. And a as we understand it, there will be a good neighborhood agreement with the contractor who will be running the facility, and this is a model that's been used at Upland Place and other parts of the province, whereby the contractors take responsibilities for things that are happening both in and around the facility, including graffiti, drug paraphernalia, crime issues, and other concerns. And our third item, if I can just quickly run through this, is the implementation of our neighborhood plan. It was written approximately 8 years ago. Some items have not been completed, and we'd like to meet with council and get those items, including the crosswalks and traffic issues I mentioned before, and the housing issue in general. Thank you very much.
The next group would be Harewood Fairview. Come on down.
Just a reminder, you do have 2 minutes. I'm going to be cutting off at 2 minutes now.
Oh, sure, start now.
I have been. Yes, go ahead.
I'm under pressure now. Jeff Solomon. We didn't have anybody from the Fairview community, but we're border, and I think we share some of the issues. So, in terms of our community, there's a lot of pride with our community. It's very diverse. It's multicultural. We have the university. We have it's central. It was affordable. It's not quite the same anymore. Tremendous history in the area. And some people really love the fact that we have laneways, because laneways are very interesting to see people's backyards. In terms of issues, yes, it's a very quickly developing community. We have tons of development, as if anybody knows, around 8th, 9th, 10th Street. It's growing very, very quickly, and which creates issues in terms of traffic and increase in. There's a need for infrastructure and services that go along with that. We've talked about parking in other areas. Certainly, that becomes an issue, and when you have a lot of development, we have the potential of hundreds and hundreds of new single residences coming in, and a lot of times they're not allotted in terms of parking. The spillover from the university is tremendous, as well as throughout the entire community. Very concerned about the waterways, Cat Stream, Chase River. I think if people are aware, there's a lot of stuff that ends up in the river and it clogs the rivers, and I mean, we should take pride in those rivers, and we should protect them at all costs. There was some discussion about whether or not there was the possibility of relating to each community and understanding each community better. There was a ward system at one time. I'm not sure we want to go that route, but we certainly would like to have more communication directly with the communities. In terms of actions, and certainly transit, as has been discussed in many other times, transit is a big issue in our community as well, and the lack of or the inappropriate actions. I guess each of the associations, and some areas don't actually have associations. It's to build an active. Okay, it's to build an active group that that represents our community, and we hope to do that possibly through a block party. Attend those transit meetings because they're happening, and possibly request administrative support to build that association. So we can go on from there. Thanks very much.
Next group will be Old City, Nob Hill South End. Come on down.
All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I'm representing Old City, Nob Hill, and South End. Sorry, can you hear me? So we had some great dialogue in our group. A big sense of pride. That's probably the biggest thing that I sensed. So in terms of strengths, so walkability, our waterfront, diversity in our community, whether it's age, different backgrounds, heritage homes and festivals, and all the great things that are happening downtown. Some of the challenges that we talked about is lack of affordable housing, as some other neighborhoods talked as well. The issue of homelessness, tent city, as everyone are aware. Crime and safety. I guess, a big need to revitalize downtown, empty commercial spaces in the area, and basically need for density. I feel like there's so much that can be happening downtown, and that was kind of discussion in our group, and we just need to be able to do that, as well as industrial parks and residential areas. Some of the action plans that we talked about, similar to the other neighborhoods, is the awareness of community association. A lot of us didn't even know they exist, so I think creating this, the awareness and participation, liaising with city council, you know, whether it's ward system or anything like that, to be able to have steering committees and bring our ideas to council and make them happen. Volunteering and supporting our local businesses and bringing investment back to downtown, or supporting the community that way.
I believe this is the last one. We did Dover and Parkwood, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, last one is Chase River, come on down. All right, Mike, here you go. You have the mic, Mike.
Oh, thank you. I have a mic, that's good. So, Mike Parker, Chase River Community Association. So we have many things in our area that we really like. Obviously, we like our rural character. That's what Chase River is known for. We have good community participation in most of the activities that we do, which is good. We have kids that actually play outside on our streets and in our parks. So you don't see that in many neighborhoods in Nanaimo. We have lots of long-term residents, and we've got residents whose children are now coming back and living in our area too. So that's a kind of a full circle kind of stuff. We consider our neighborhood to be clean. We don't have garbage. We don't have stuff all over the streets. We take pride in our neighborhood. So those are good things. Let me see what else. So let's move on. Our big concerns are obviously our traffic, development, and access to out of Chase River, because we have one road in, one road out. So if there is an emergency, or like the fire that was happening up Nanaimo Lakes Road, there was a lot of people that are very concerned that if the wind changes, that's coming right through Chase River and away we go, right? So that was a big thing. Theft is a big thing for us. Public transit, sidewalks, public speed safety, and we wish all you people who live around Nanaimo would quit speeding through our neighborhood, okay? Driving, because we have a huge problem with speeding. So if you stop driving through our neighborhood, that would be really good. And the same thing other people have mentioned, which is parking and things like that. So the items that we would like to get help with is, we just want to be very clear, Chase River is not against supportive social housing. Although it's been put out that we are not. We want to welcome that. We want to work with the city to solve that issue in the way that we can in our part of the world. So, the other thing that we'd like to get is, we'd like to get a new community center. We've been promised it for a long time. We don't have one. We need one. The city promised it, so we're going to be working. We're going to try and get that. There's lots of new federal grant money out there and provincial money. We need to get that for us. And our last big thing, again, is addressing the road safety and just how we're going to get different access out of the valley and out of Chase River in case of emergency and that kind of stuff. And lastly, I'd just like to say, any council member who wants to come to our association, you're more than welcome. Okay?
Okay, everyone, that was really great. Thank you so much for the presenters who came forward and presented. You were all very confident and really passionate about the issues. So a round of applause for them. So this map is to be used as a visual aid for us to really notice just how many of our issues are relatable. In every neighborhood, we have commonalities. We're not isolated neighborhoods. So you can see affordable housing in this area is a big concern, right? We can see that up here, transit, emergency exits in Hammond Bay. So we can see that certain areas have certain issues in common. And this is sort of to show you that, and to also for you to start thinking about how can we work together, and also how can the city work in a more holistic way, right? Where they can engage with several neighborhoods at a time, perhaps, right? So really thinking about that, and how can we work more together. And in terms of the things we love, I really appreciate a strength-based approach. I heard one thing that really caught my attention was we have diverse housing in our neighborhoods, right? We need to hold on to that. We want that, but we don't say that enough. But then when diverse housing comes into our neighborhoods, we just want to be engaged, right? We want to be engaged. And so I think listening to the strengths and what it is we do love about our neighborhoods is always really important when we're talking about the changes that we want. And today I really learned a lot by hearing that, and how excited everyone was to say how much they love their neighborhoods, because I really do think neighborhoods are sort of an extension of our homes, and we all want to live in a safe, beautiful, calm, or exciting place, right? So I think we got to hold on to that. So thank you so much, everyone who came today to participate in this. I want to give everyone a round of applause. Thank you to the wonderful facilitators for the YPN. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. This is the fourth and final section of the task force. So it's really exciting to be here at the last one, facilitating with all of you. So anyway, thank you so much for a lovely evening. Please take a chance to look at the map, take photos, post them, put them on Facebook, show them to your associations. Take them home. Take this image home with you, and let's use it. And Ian will talk a little bit more about what the task force will be doing with this, and then how we can continue this conversation. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Larissa Kozer. Thank you. As one of the members of the task force, this is our last and final. Thank you. This has been an interesting process for us to do 4 different evenings, 4 different processes. Thank you for contributing so much to this. We've learned a lot. What we're going to be doing is taking all of these materials, putting it into a presentation for City Council, and they will be doing their due diligence with it. Speaking of which, do we love Nanaimo? Yes! And do we love the fact that we've got a beautiful City Council that's going to try and bring this city to the place where we really love it? Let's support them. Thank them for doing it. Again, I want to thank the young people, the young professionals in Nanaimo for facilitating all the tables. They did a great job as far as I can tell. So thank you. And lastly, thank you for coming. Thank you for making this event. I think this is the biggest event we've done so far, and we've had a great time tonight, haven't we?
Yeah.
Drive and cycle and transit safely. Good night.